It almost looks
What's
like we're
up?
on like opposite sides of the room.
Are you on this other side of this wall?
Yeah, are you on the other side of this wall? You got
Well,
the same painting.
is it literally the same painting? That's lame.
I think so. I think so.
Well, we're in London. Welcome wherever you're joining us from. We got probably about an hour tonight. We're gonna be taking a look back at Legends this past weekend. Kind of a crazy comp out there, especially on the women's side, and then looking forward to the two semifinals that are going on this weekend before PC and I dive full steam ahead into WFP. So Uh, minimal to no WFP talk tonight, even though we're both wearing the sweatshirts. We're
Are
gonna,
we?
yeah, different sweatshirts, but yeah, we'll give some love to the legends, Copa Sur and Far East Throwdown. So I'll kind of let PC drive the order, and I'll do my best to weigh
Keep
in.
up with me.
Yeah.
Our good old 3 listeners or followers. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
when you
Let's
schedule the shows, and go live
yeah.
in the same 10-second window.
Exactly. It's literally just post and go live. And if someone shows up, cool. If not, it's just me and you talking to each other. It's good practice, right? Let's talk. Yeah, let's start off with legends. Well, this is a terrible. That's terrible too. There, that's a little bit better, I guess. Um,
Let's just get the elephant in the room just out of the way before we go into the athletes.
okay.
Like, um, obviously, we saw all of the conversations about Legends Championship, from programming to number of workouts to the stepper to the dumbbell changes. Like, we know all that happened. We know the live stream is behind the paywall. We know who was doing the live stream. We know there are other live streams on Instagram and YouTube, whatever. Like, we know all of that. The semifinals this season is the Wild West. If you're choosing to participate in it, you just got to adapt the mindset of rolling with the punches and going with the flow, because it seems like anything and everything can happen. And definitely, if you're an athlete, a coach, supporting an athlete, you just got to know that that stuff's going on. And, you know, everybody who's involved in running these competitions loves this sport. Everybody who's showing up to compete, to watch, to volunteer, to coach, spectate, whatever, loves this thing, this sport, community, lifestyle. So we're going to keep it positive. We're going to talk about the workouts that these athletes had to take on, their performances, try to evaluate what we think happened. Of course, those things matter. Like, the context is there were 5 workouts over 3 days. There were some interesting workouts, some things missing, some things added that aren't the norm. But if you just look at the names at the top of both leaderboards, like, fitness still prevailed. But I made this comment the other day, PC. I think it was on maybe a spin post. And I
Mhm.
said, like, fitness is fitness and the fittest will rise. But at the top of the leaderboards at the semifinal season, absolutely those details matter. The programming matters, the number of workouts matters, and small things can make a big difference in terms of how simple or complicated this semifinal season will be for certain athletes.
Yeah. I agree with that statement. Um, well, before we dive into it, I do want to say it's like, Joe and Bob have gotten a lot of slack from a lot of different people, and I just want to say, like, we both know those guys personally, and personal feelings aside, I do know what they're trying to do is the best, and they're doing the best they can with the best what they have. These guys have done competitions before. People may say something about their programming or this and that or whatever, but they're doing this. They're not making money doing this. They're doing this because they love the sport. They love the athletes, especially the masters community. I mean, you can't ask about 2 guys who've sacrificed so much for the masters community. And you always hear the masters community saying, "Oh, we're not appreciated or we're not served." These guys appreciate you. They that's why they throw this stuff. Yes, maybe the stands were full or not that full at all at Delmar, but you know what? They went for it. They try to create a great experience, and now you have a bunch of athletes who can say they competed on those hollowed grounds of CrossFit. And so I want to applaud those guys for taking chances, for doing things out of the norm. And yes, it may not be the popular decision, but the thing is, at least they're willing to do it. And I just want to say that they've been nothing but great to, I think, me and you. I mean, they've they've been very kind to me in many occurrences. I know they've done that to you. So I just kind of want to put that out there. I'm not going to say, like I said, there are some things that they've done that they did that I'll be critical, and there are things that I don't agree with, and it makes me wonder. But at the end of the day, I know what they're trying to do is like they're trying to move it forward in a way that they think they can move it forward. That's all I have to say.
And I was just constantly always doing research, looking what's out there. I just saw within the past hour or so, Gabby McGowan put a post up that says, it doesn't hurt to try. And it's like this concept has been like in my mind a little bit because, for years we went on the road and we tried stuff, and we at times took a lot of heat, and I at times took a lot of heat for that. And right now, there's other people, whether it's competition organizers, people doing live streams, and they're trying things. And I saw like Mike Poolboy. He got on the mic this weekend. He put out there, "Hey man, thanks for anyone who tuned in. It's my first time doing this. I did my best." And even though personally, my best hasn't always been good enough for some people, it's good enough for me. Like I know at the end of the day when I look in the mirror that like I tried my best. I poured everything I had into it. And that's what everyone who's involved in these competitions is doing. No one's half-assing this thing. It's hard.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
I mean,
So
I'm gonna give credit where credit's due. I mean, Sevon and their crew went into they said themselves like, wait, we are doing all the divisions. We didn't know this, and they showed up. And I will give them credit by bringing Bill in, and also giving Pool Boy a chance, and just having it be about those guys, I have my opinions about Taylor, not as a person, but as an interviewer or a sideline reporter. I mean, whatever. It is what it is, but, some people may like it, some don't. It's not my cup of tea, whether it's Taylor or not. But I will say, like I said, good job on them in terms of trying to put on an impossible thing. Me and you, we've been there. We've seen it. We've been criticized for it, and the same goes out to, and I know we're not going to talk about too much, the Crash Crescendo on the other coast, where you have Spin and Tyler and John doing something to help JR and also make practice so that way they're well prepared for Syndicate when they have to put on a big production like that. So, at the end of the day, if it wasn't for them, those two groups, our group, you wouldn't be seeing many of these semifinals at all, and people would be upset. So I want to, give a shout out to them for, again, like you said,
well,
at least you're trying.
and also, I'm glad you mentioned Crash Crescendo, because something I've been, a lot of people have been complaining about the semifinal season to me personally. And I gotta tell them is like, you don't have to do that. There are so many competitions out there. And if you go and look at Crash Crescendo or Crash Goose, whatever their Instagram is this weekend, and you just look at those podiums, there's a ton of good athletes competing there. There's so many opportunities to compete. And like, guess what? You can go there, Crash Crescendo, Crash Crucible, if you're good enough. You're going to have a great experience. And there's literally dozens of competitions like that around the world every month. So wherever you are in the world, like, you can find them. You can go do them. Yeah. They're not a part of the game season, not a part of WFP. They're just these independent competitions that are out there, and you can compete. But if you want to go for it, then stop complaining about it and just deal with it. So let's move on from that. Let's get into the
let's just talk about that. So women's field, like you said, fitness did prevail. I will say the last two events were tests of fitness. I mean, you can say what you can about the previous workouts and that it favored the bigger, stronger athlete. But I think the last two tests, those, you can't tell me that those weren't I thought they were good tests. And I think the leaderboards on those particular workouts shows that. But like you said, for this particular group of tests and workouts, the fittest people, they prevail. So we had Olivia coming right off of 5th place at Mayhem.
I mean, I was just messaging with her a little bit earlier, and it's like, kind of, it's like, crazy the difference a week can make. And, you and I, obviously, we talked about it. Like, Olivia Kerstetter and Emily Rolfe have made a decision that personally I would not advise anyone to do, which is 3 competitions, 3 different time zones, 3 back-to-back weekends, and traveling west in the US before traveling back home, and then all the way over here to London this upcoming weekend. But for Olivia, I mean, this obviously paid off. And more or less, she was just eliminated from a really, really difficult field in terms of qualifying for the games in Mayhem after the first workout. Like, that field was too good, and there's too much consistency at the top to have a near bottom place finish on the opening workout. Well, like we are, have come to expect in semifinals, the opening workout here was long, supposedly an aerobic test. She won it.
Yeah.
That's it. I mean, that's the difference between her making the games and not having a chance, is a first and a 19th on the opening workout. And this was obviously very different than running up a hill.
Yeah, definitely. More machines, a lot more easier on some of the muscles, the joints. Yeah, we're talking about a younger athlete, but like you said, you mentioned Emily Rolfe. You have 2 athletes opposite side of the spectrum here. Emily's 30, a little bit older, knows her body, is used to travel. Olivia, not as well traveled as Emily, but she's going to get there at some point, younger. I think they both looked at this as, maybe they didn't know that they were only going to have 5 workouts over 3 days, but 5 workouts over 3 days, a little bit more manageable. I mean, if they decide to do syndicate, you're probably going to do, 6 workouts across 2 days, or, NorCal's probably the same way. So I applaud their decision, especially the way it worked out for them. Well, obviously for Olivia, it worked out great for her because she got the spot, she got the win, she gets a payday out of it, and she didn't have to really kill herself too much, it seemed like. I mean, she pretty much had this wrapped up after event 4.
Yeah, and it was nice to see. I mean, obviously Olivia's super fit, coming off the podium last year. Had a really, really good complete season. There was a bit of a scare for her in the winter with the staph infection and just like the uncertainty that surrounds that. And it didn't seem to be a problem in Mayhem. Definitely wasn't a problem here. So for me, it's great to see Olivia back in form. Outside of the run, she was pretty good at Mayhem across the board and was climbing the leaderboard. And she got out to a great start here and never let it go. And definitely takes a little bit of pressure off of her. She's doing both seasons. Not all of the athletes are, and so this is good step for her. And I think it also, like, see how she does this weekend at WFP. But I think that this weekend we'll see, because it's such at the end of this 3-week stretch. But I think starting with the games and going forward in the WFP season after this weekend, at least, we're going to see this version of Olivia Kerstetter as a baseline that she's going to build upon for the rest of the year.
Yeah. And I mean, I think she's going to be fine by the time she gets here to London. I mean, I imagine she left today to go back probably to Kansas City area, do some laundry.
She said she'd be home for less than 24 hours.
Yeah. But I mean, if she does it right, if she's going from Kansas City to, another airport and then to London, or if she's like flying direct like some people, but it's not that bad of a trip to London, especially if you know how to travel. It didn't take us very long to adjust very well, like I said, but we know how to travel, especially going east. But it seemed like a lot of athletes we saw that came in today. We ran into Ty, Sydney, Chandler, a bunch of athletes, and they seemed fine. The first day they're like, yeah, I'm a little tired, but they should be back on the regular clock by tomorrow. But let's talk about Abigail, man. I mean, I think when we left Mayhem, we looked at the list of athletes. We both were kind of like, Abigail looked good. Abigail looked like if there was maybe one more workout or 2 more workouts at Mayhem, she might have been in one of those spots. She just looked fresh. She looked strong. She looked fresh. She was in good spirits. And I'm happy she got the spot here. I mean, it's hard, especially with Lydia, Kyra, a lot of great athletes in this, but Abigail, after Mayhem, she was of all those athletes that we saw, she was the athlete that I could look at and be like, she probably looks a lot fresher or better, and also better suited for this programming.
Yeah, I mean, this is the thing that I'll say is I don't know why this North American semifinal has one less spot than the others. Um, like, projecting forward, clearly Syndicate's going to have a roster that can bolster it. Maybe NorCal, I'm not sure. Like, we haven't seen in much of what that's going to look like. But look at the leaderboard here. Like, they could have supported 3 at this competition with the caliber of athletes showing up, and that wasn't the case. But yeah, I mean, it would have been pretty brutal for her if she was one spot out on back-to-back weekends. So this is, I would say this, like, I had picked Lydia to finish second, and it was actually cool. I was talking with Abigail and Anton a bit.
She did.
Like, dude.
Yeah. She kind of finished
Lydia is no joke. Like, I mean, I left a comment on one of her posts. Like, people are starting to get it because she doesn't look intimidating. But my goodness, man, like, she's so steady, so solid, stronger than she appears, tough as nails. And so for me, this was like, I was going to be happy and sad either way with the split between Abigail and Lydia. So, you roll, like I said, you want to do this season. It's weird. You roll with the punches. Lydia said, I bet on myself, and that's all. Like, you got to be proud of that. So I think great for Abigail and the Golden Line crew, and Lydia, nothing at all to hang your head about here.
No, not at all. And I think this post says it all. They're taking it in stride, having fun with it. And I think that's important at her age. She's still young. I believe she's 22, 23. But at her age, you got to have fun with it. If she's making this a career, which she is, she's a pro. She is a professional functional fitness athlete. She is. Now, through WFP. But you got to have fun with it. And if you don't have fun with it, I mean, especially at her age, and I think it helps having someone like Perrin who is also having fun and enjoying the ride and, acts as a best friend, older sister, I think it's great. And I think, she's going to be fine. I imagine she's doing Syndicate or NorCal, but she's also one of those athletes, online qualifier. I think she'll do well in it as well. But to answer your question regarding like why this got 2 and NorCal gets 2, I don't know why they just didn't take, 2 spots away from the online qualifier to make it. I mean, it's like they wanted to make that online qualifier, I don't know, way more than a live competition. It just doesn't make sense. I would love to ask like someone from the CrossFit.
I mean, think about it. They had 38 spots live, 2 last chance qualifier. No one complained about that. Yeah. You've reduced the field by 10. I think if you had done 28 live, 27 live, 26 live, 20, like, the more live, the better. Look at the Masters. All the people that won the Masters out there in Legends are like, it's so sick to qualify live. Yeah. And to capitalize live. Like, put a premium on that. It's okay to have that catch-all net for the outliers, for the last chance. It's fun. But
people don't do this sport to do online competitions. I'm sorry.
No, we were having lunch with an athlete here yesterday, and they said, I don't even count online competitions as competition.
Exactly. Yeah. But I can't name an athlete. It's like, man, I do CrossFit, so that way I could do online competitions. There's not online competitions. Some athletes are more stressful than live competitions because you're putting your, especially when it comes to like something like Rogue, where you have to have everything perfect, measurements and all this stuff. It's a process as opposed to being a live competition where you show up and you do your best, and there's only so many factors you can control. Everything else is kind of taken care of. But great job on Lydia. I think she's going to be fine, but she's definitely got the positive attitude to do this. DB.
Well, I have not watched that. Hiller put a video up about her. Maybe he's baiting us with the title. But the reality here for Danielle is, she should have made the games. Like, you can't take 13th on a workout like that. There's a bunch of athletes that beat her on that workout that she has no business finishing behind. I don't care what the
Mm,
machine is.
yeah.
It's a freaking bike. It's a bike, ski, jump rope. Now, maybe I didn't watch. Maybe there was an injury. I haven't heard anything like that. I don't know. But this is like you're too good to have that start to the competition, and the fields are too tight. I mean, we've seen this before with athletes in different regional semifinal formats around the world that when there's not these aren't super deep fields. Like
Hmm.
um, nothing like I didn't get any of them in the right spot, I don't think. But the top 10 athletes were the top 10 that I picked after you take out the ones that didn't show up. Like it's pretty obvious who the top athletes are. The top four were the top four in a different order than John and I both had them. Like you can't have a 13. It's what I said about Olivia. You can't have a 19th place finish and make it when there's 2 or 3 spots. So, for an athlete that took the finals off from WFP to get ready for the game season, to go out there as a clear favorite and start the weekend like that, it's not good enough. That's it. Now, is she screwed like Andrew's saying? No, obviously not. Like she can come back and she can place top 3 in another semi or top 7 online. I don't think that's going to be an issue, but it's definitely not what she went out there for.
Yeah. I mean, again, those last 2 workouts. I mean, she won going away in both of those workouts. If I was able to watch too, I mean, which is funny because Sydney Smith finished second in both those workouts too, but she beat Sydney by a pretty big margin in both of those. Um, so, but yeah, those were the 2 fitness tests right there, and it showed that she looked great. I mean, I don't know what happened that first workout, but she looked great in those last 2. She looked like the DB. Like this is a DB. You know, whoever's competing, I don't know what the roster at Syndicate looks like. I'm pretty sure it's going to be like Syndicate from 2 years ago when you had DB, Alexis Raptis, Lydia Fish just missed it. I mean, you had a stacked field. I think Tia was in that field. Yeah, Tia won it, but um, but I think DB is there's nothing. She's going to be super charged up for that.
I mean, yeah, that's the only thing you can do as an athlete. Like you go out there with a goal and expectation, probably on yourself that everyone's assigning to you, and you didn't get it. Give yourself a day, be pissed, and move on. You know that the whether you like it or not, there are other opportunities this season. It wasn't a one and done semifinal like it's been in the past. So you have another chance. So shake off the dust, get back to work, and go do your thing.
Yeah. So. And then again, she also has the online qualifier, which I think she'll do really well. But like I said, just one placing, it goes back to just like most sports. It comes down to inches and seconds, and for her, it came down to seconds, and it's hard to see her in that place, especially coming into this this competition as kind of overwhelming favorite. And then, like I said, coming in at 5th, I brought her up. Sydney Smith finished back to back. I mean, just look at these finishes: 7th, 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 second, second.
Yeah, Sydney. She said, this is like my first serious live individual competition. She seems to be trending up. She seems to be like, and not just in her fitness, but like life, in her attitude, in her everything seems really positive for her right now. She's got obviously one of her good best friends in Brittany over there. That's huge support for her throughout the weekend.
Mm-hmm.
You just love to see it. So, I don't think, and you know what I also like, because we saw athletes last week at Mayhem, and we saw maybe there were some this week that were like mad that they didn't make the games. Like it's not all about making the games. Not everyone's going to make it every time. There's much more to competing than just that. And I think people oftentimes get way too wrapped up in that result. I didn't get any of that from Sydney. And I mean, look on the leaderboard right there. The 2 women behind her were definitely chasing that, and they're pissed. And Sydney
Yeah.
just went out there and had fun and did her thing and had a great competition, and she can build on that. So it's all about just perspective and like how you want to experience that weekend. It was a competition on its own. Yeah, it's part of something else. That's great. But like for me, what Sydney put on display leading into throughout this weekend, like that's something that I think other athletes, if they can tap into a little bit of that they can enjoy it more and probably do a little better too.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, she knew she wasn't going to get the game spot, but this for her, this was a test of herself. And you know, she. I'm a big fan of Sydney, not just because I've known her for a while, but also just the type of person she is. But I know the amount of work that she's put in to be an individual athlete. She wanted to go individual last year, but they wanted to run it back with 11:24, and so she also felt like she wasn't ready. But then, as soon as that team season was over, as soon as the games was over, I believe she's being coached by Kyle Ruth now. So, I mean, Kyle does amazing stuff. She's,
Kyle
like I said,
Ruth, the games athlete.
exactly. So,
He is a freaking savage, dude. Amazing
he
coach,
is,
amazing athlete.
yeah. But I mean, he's a good coach. I mean, he's coaching Alexis Raptis as well. I mean, but I think she's doing all the right things. She's in a very good training environment. She's around good people, friends. She's she's making really good life choices, and I think this is just the beginning of what we'll see from Sydney. And watching her in that last event, when she was maybe the fifth person off the box jumps, and she just tackled those devil's presses, and then she just, you know, I think it was her and Lydia Fish on the way down, and Lydia, I think, put her dumbbells down. Sydney just, pivoted, went back, and it was she did
You know
not
what
want to
else I
set those
love
things.
about that? Like we talked about this in Mayhem. It's not just the athletes that are like qualifying or on the cusp of qualifying that are in the competition. Like her result there impacted the overall results and the podium
It did.
finishes. I mean, it was 1 point between three women. And
Hmm.
I just love athletes that just compete hard from start to finish of the competition. Like that's what it's supposed to be.
Yeah,
So
yeah. I mean,
I don't want to
Sydney,
go any,
yeah,
yeah. Finish up on Sydney and then let's go to the men.
yeah. No, I was saying like, it's like, I mean, Lydia won't blame Sydney for it, but I mean, yeah, Sydney beat Lydia and cost Lydia a game spot. That's what it came down to, and it was a close finish there at the end too, between
Well, the
those two.
thing is, we know Lydia well, and Lydia would never say it that way. She would
Oh
say, "I
no, not
wasn't
at
good
all.
enough. I needed to find one extra second, one extra
Hmm.
place, one extra whatever," and she would take that on herself because
Yeah,
that's what like mature and healthy athletes mindset is.
yeah. And then just kind of like Kyra, Emily, Caitlin finished 6th, 7th, 8th, back-to-back
All
weekends.
three
They
of them back to back
all three of
weekends.
them. Yep, all three of them. Emily's about to go back to back to back. You know, but so yeah, I commend them. I really do. I mean, I was really, there's so many good athletes in the women's field, and we'll see in the men's field, but in the women's field that you kind of feel for them for not punching their games tickets, but at the same time, it's it's just how it is, and I think I'm confident like someone like Kyra Emily, I think they will end up getting their ticket punched at some point. Kyra's heading off to Torian, I think after this, and Emily,
Well, they might. The thing is,
yeah,
they might, but we got to be
yeah,
realistic here. There's 30
yeah,
spots. There's no country limitations, really. People are going all over the
mhm,
place, and I could probably list off 50 names that if you know who these athletes are, and I said this person's going to the games, you'd be like, oh,
yeah.
cool. You wouldn't be
They could
like,
change
why?
their mind. Yeah,
So
yeah,
like, there's at least 20 names out there that aren't going to make it, that would be good enough to be there.
yeah,
The spots are at a premium, and that's why I
yeah,
mentioned earlier that if you love to compete, it's fine to have that as a goal, but don't limit yourself to it. There's tons of other opportunities. There's tons of other stuff you can do.
yeah. Shout out Lexi Neely coming back from just some nagging injuries. First real competition back, 10th. I know she's probably disappointed about that, but I think it's a good step forward. And then Grace Lochner, this is what a performance by her. You're not expecting to see her name amongst these giants in the thing. So that's only going to help her. And she's obviously one of the guys that we're going to talk about, men training partner. So it looks like it's paying dividends. Her being out there in that environment, also having some mentors like Katrin helping her out as well as some Cole Sager and other people. So jumping over to the men, I forgot what it was. I think when we did the preview, I mentioned at some point Dallin has to break through. I think was that conversation I had with you last time.
Oh,
I
we
think so.
rarely talk, so it probably wasn't me.
Yeah. But I was like, at some point, I think you asked me, is there a point where you see James or Dallin beating James in a competition? I'm like, he kind of has to. I mean, he needs a kind of like, you know, he needs to do that. If he can't beat him in a competition like this, he might not have an opportunity to beat him at the games. And so, if for someone like Dallin, I think it's important for him to have that confidence that, hey, he hasn't beaten James since Rogue of 2024, and we all know that Rogue
And he
gets
hasn't
Rogue.
and he hasn't won a competition in the open division up
Yes,
to this point. And it's like,
correct.
I know it's a semifinal. I know it's a 5 event workout. I know it's some
Mhm.
like whatever. No, it does. In this case, that doesn't matter.
Yeah,
There is a difference between winning and finishing second.
yeah,
James isn't necessarily worried about this, but if
mhm,
I'm the men's field, I am a little worried about this
yep.
because
It's a
it's
head.
just the smallest fraction between knowing you can do it, meaning standing on top of the podium, especially when the guy who's pretty much unanimously the favorite for this at least the season, you know,
Mhm.
is in the field and he got that rivalry and that history and whatever. Like Dallin is super mentally tough, but he's very well aware that he's been second, third, second, fourth. Like, I bet he's got a hit list on his phone, and he's just foaming at the mouth to get a win. And sometimes what happens is you get that win, and then they start piling up.
Yeah, and all, but a win like this, it's basically head to head. I mean, on paper, it was Dallin, James, then Tudor, and so this was, it's like it doesn't get any more. I mean, all the points you would think were between Dallin and James. We'll look at it later. That was Dylan, inner Dylan Hamming, but this has to do. Dallin has to feel good after this. Second, a first, a second, a second. And he won kind of going away pretty comfortably, and yeah. So, bravo to Dallin on this. He just great job. Hopefully he can kind of relax. He's not going to relax. We know Dallin, he's not going to relax, but now he could be more intentional with the training. He can put in a couple training blocks now, like whether it be running or whatever he needs to do to make up those small margins. So that way, he can, give James a proper test at the games.
And it's it'll be interesting to see how that shapes up. But the thing, here's the thing about James is, um, he doesn't win every competition he goes to. The bigger the test, the longer the duration, the more different stuff, the better chance he has to win. But he lost. He didn't win. I mean, I should say lost. He got second at both tour stops last year. He barely edged out Ricky at the WFP finals. He didn't win the games. He didn't win Rogue. He can win competitions like that. He's won both Wadapaloozas. He did win WFP finals, but it's not like losing a competition like this is unheard of for him. He is
No,
not
no,
immune to a lot. We're not in the 2017, 18, 19 era of Matt Fraser where he can't lose at
yeah,
anything. The field
yeah,
is open. And this is, I think, if you're a person who loves the ferocity of the competition that we saw in the men's games field last year, like, you should be so excited for this season because it's going to be the same in the women's field. And this
hmm
is the proof in the pudding on the wall here that it's open. You know, Dallin can win, Ricky can win, Jason can win, James can win, Adler can win. So
hmm and
this is,
that's yeah.
I love
You're,
this result.
I do too, and I think as much as that win feels Dallin, I think for James, don't change anything. It's business as usual. It's like, hey, Dallin beat me that day, so what? I'm still James Sprague. He shouldn't change anything. Let Dallin have the bragging rights on this one, and just continue. He hasn't beat you when it's counted, not yet. Um, so, but yeah, I mean, you said it's like that last workout, that had James on, and he won that going away. It was, I think he finished like 2 lengths ahead of Dallin, but I think Dallin kind of throttled down as well. But you know, uh, you know, two bookend first places between fourth, a fourth, and a third. I think those are the type of results you want to see in James, especially with this type of programming. When there were some kind of elements in the programming that weren't right along James's strength, you know, but he did good. I thought he did good, especially as one of the as the favorite coming in.
Do it.
Dylan Hammy.
No. Do you see what's going down here in the backstage?
Oh, hey, look
Hey,
at this.
hey everyone.
Hi, Sid.
How's it going?
It's going good. We were just talking about you.
Oh my gosh, I hope all good things.
It was all terrible.
Oh my gosh, I'm not surprised at all. It's fine.
No, I'm just kidding. No, yeah, we're recapping. Obviously, we told you recapping legends, and we were just me and Brian had we just talked about you. We want to hear your weekend. Tell us about your weekend.
Oh gosh. Well, this was like my first individual comp ever. So I didn't really know entirely what to expect. Obviously, like some team experience and individual is very different than that. So I guess going into it, especially with the past couple months, I've done decent at some qualifiers and online stuff. And so I was like, well, maybe this is like a fluke or something. And it was kind of a fine balance going into the weekend of trying to be competitive, but also going into it knowing it's going to be a learning experience and not to put pressure on myself and just like, okay, this is like something new. We'll see what we can do, and come away from the weekend with as many things as possible to learn from, whether that's competition, whether that's mindset, whether that's actual something in the event with like transitions or like what to do or something. Like there was just so much to learn and take in. But I guess having that mindset, I feel like it helped through the weekend. Because I was like, okay, well, I have no idea what I can do really, and I did okay. So, and I proved to myself I sang a little bit, but
You would say better than okay. I
thanks,
mean, it
guys.
was
Thank you so much.
you had a nice steady start
It's all
to the
right. You
weekend.
could, yeah.
But look at the field.
Yeah.
You got Olivia Kerstetter there. She made the games podium last year. You have Danielle Brandon. She made a WFP podium last year. You have Lydia Fish. She's competed at the games. Got a pro card WFP. Got Abigail Domit, semifinal winner last year. You took second place on each of the last two workouts. Like that's got to feel pretty good.
No, it does a little. It does, but yeah, I guess seeing that I can hang with like some of the top people that are either seasoned athletes that have been doing this a long time and just that have experience is just more under their belt was cool to see that I'm like in the mix at least. Obviously like hit or miss with like some workouts, but my lowest finish was 7th place. Which isn't terrible, and from like my first individual semifinal. So I guess it just helps with some confidence, and hopefully I can see what I can do the rest of the season. I'm excited for what's to come. Yeah.
We talk about it a lot that besides the athlete competing there, like there's like it's important to have like good support. You mentioned the mindset. Did you have anyone there that was even trying to help you this weekend?
Oh my gosh.
She had a team.
Yeah, I did. I have been so blessed with the most amazing friends. And I was telling everyone afterwards, they're like, what's your most favorite part of the weekend? And I love friendship so much. It literally has me geeking anytime I have like good friends, the support, like people mean so much to me. So Brittany, she was helping me like all weekend. Her and I are best friends and live together. So she was like, especially her having some experience as well helps because it's not like she doesn't know what she's doing, but then also just being best friends is great. And then I actually just started working with Kyle Ruth, and he was competing this weekend and he punched his games ticket. So having him competing there, and then I think that was our first time meeting in person, because I literally just started breaking it with him last week. So Yes, and then like we had some of the Invictus crew cheering me on, and I love loud yelling passion, like that. I was doing lunges on the last event, and that being the last movement, and they were all yelling at me, and I'm doing lunges, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so thankful for everyone, like as I'm doing lunges. um so yeah, I have a great group, and like even across the country and stuff, and world texting me and stuff, which is so amazing because that's genuinely like my very favorite thing is the people around me.
You mentioned like, you've done 2 years on a team, and it's really easy. I mean, did you find it different or difficult at moments on the floor when you looked around and you saw you didn't have a team with you, but or how'd you focus on, whenever you did run into like some difficulty? Because I mean, just like that final workout, for example, it's like I mean, I think you're fifth or sixth off the total bars, but you just kept on going. And I mean, obviously, it's easy to kind of look around and be like, man, this sucks. But I guess you did have a team maybe on the sideline,
Yeah.
with Britt, maybe some other people cheering you on. I mean, how did you approach those situations when you came across like those times when you were just by yourself? Did you ever feel alone?
Honestly, no. I don't. I think I'm fine alone. Like it's just different, but it wasn't even a thought in my mind that I didn't have anyone else. I was like, I can do this, like to see what I can do and stay in my own lane. And I honestly feel like um I'm like somewhat paying attention to like what other people are doing, but I'm like I'm doing my plan, and even if I'm behind, I'm doing exactly what I planned out to do ahead of time and not get in my own head with what everyone else is doing. And like that worked out for me on like the last two workouts because I glitched on that handstand workout twice at the beginning, and I faced the wrong way. Then I'm turning around with the bar overhead, and then I missed a snatch. I was like, I don't even miss snatches at 135. I was like, what is going on? And everyone was like freaking out. I was like, it's fine. Like I don't really feel like I get flustered. So yeah, it's definitely like something different, but I never felt like I was alone, or I feel like I'm good at staying in my own lane and doing what I can do. So I think individual will be good.
Did
I love the terminology, the glitch. Like I would not, I would not, it makes perfect sense. I would never say it that way, but I like that a lot. I wouldn't be surprised if I hear that pop up on a broadcast at some point.
I did that too many times. I was like, "You're so stupid," but I was like, "Whatever, we'll just go with it." So it's fitting for how my brain works. So, I don't know how much Brian you've been around me, and Patrick a little bit more, but a little bit more chaotic. The ADHD really just takes over. So, yeah.
I got this experience at Athex. You were only 2 lanes down from me, so.
Yeah. Dancing while everyone is like focused and whatever, but I like to have fun.
What would you say the balance is between like proud of the effort, the placement, and like hunger to move forward from this and build upon?
Yeah, honestly, that's been something I thought about beforehand and also after, just because it's like, okay, be proud of yourself because one, being the first individual competition ever, and then also hanging with some of the best, but also being fairly close point wise to qualifying. Um, so I feel like it's at my fingertips, which is I'm like, hell yeah, because I honestly don't feel like I had the confidence at all. And it's still something I'm working on. But even like the past month of what I've seen, I'm like, okay, like I'll start like overthinking where I'm like, okay, that was just like a fluke or somehow it was, I don't even know. But I think this weekend helped again, adding another thing to the list of where I am more towards the top. So definitely helping building confidence. And just all the things that I need to work on. I don't know if that answered your question, but
Yeah,
it's a fine balance.
Yeah. Did after the competition, obviously, I didn't watch the stream. I watched the pepper stream, the free stream. Pepper, that stream, and you could dive. At any point when you got to that lunge, when you made it down, did you even think you're like, I'm not putting these things down. I'm going to finish this off. I mean, when did you make that decision? Like right when you picked it up and you realized they weren't as heavy as you thought, or were you off adrenaline? I mean, when did you know you were just going to go for it?
Well, I knew like going into the devil's press the whole time. I was like, every single rep, I knew beforehand I was going to tell myself, don't be a bitch, don't be a bitch, don't be a bitch. So I did that the entire time through the devil's press. And then I knew I was like catching up some, and I had no idea where besides the two people next to me, I had no idea where anyone else was. And I was like, well, if you put it down for freaking 3 back and forth for the lunch, I'm like, you're so soft. So I literally just shoved the dumbbells against my head, and everyone's screaming at me. And while I'm thinking about how grateful I am for everyone, like on the last part of the workout, but I wanted to put them down for sure. But I was like, I'm not putting these down unless my shoulders or I like physically give out. And so I just chose not to be soft.
Nice. I like that. Just don't be soft. And then
Yeah.
that celebration at the end. I mean, that was I imagine you could almost hear it in that broadcast. That Corinne, that was just like a primal, joyful scream. And,
Yeah.
How satisfying was that? Just ending your first individual competition that way.
It was so sick because even that workout, I was like, okay, maybe like top 5, I don't know. And then I was behind and I was like, okay, these girls are blazing. And then I caught them. So I guess it was really cool to, on those last 2 workouts, even come from the back and just stay in my lane. And then I got second place on the last 2. So I guess that was super exciting. And then I guess I'm never nonchalant with anything that I do. So then my celebrations and personality just comes out organically. And I'm like, okay, well, but it was very exciting. Yeah.
I think when I hear you talk about that, like I think that's some of the team experience, the being on a big stage experience shining through, because it's one of the hardest things even for great athletes in this sport to do is to trust that the 8-minute workout is 8 minutes, and it's like I don't have to be in the lead at the 3-minute mark.
Yeah, I'm like, it's never one at the beginning, and then obviously seeing people blow up and slow down. Like I feel like I'm fairly decent, depending on what the workout is, but for the most part, on the back end, like I can push at the back end. Like I would rather ramp up, and
Yeah,
I feel like that's normal
stronger.
how I approach things is ramp up.
That's an important quality to have, and I think that's a quality that'll make you successful in the individual field, is like get stronger as it goes. And I mean, I've told people I've been lucky enough to kind of see you evolve as an athlete, like as a woman who, as a person, just hated running, to now it's like hey, I'll run every day. You've turned it into something fun, and and I can only imagine what Kyle's going to do with you in terms of how he's going to make you a better athlete. Shout out to Holden and all your coaches before them to get you to this point. But I think you're not even close to peaking as an athlete right now, and I know you believe that now, especially after this weekend. Did you have any of the girls like in the back? What did any of them kind of like come to you like, hey, where the hell did you come from, or did they kind of like, I don't know, prop you up or tell you that you belong, or do you don't need that type of stuff?
One, I don't need it, but 2, there was nothing really said to me or acknowledged for the most part, which is fine. I don't really need like a pep talk. And honestly, if you don't like me and I came out of nowhere and I can hang, sorry.
Sorry, but not sorry. Got it.
Yeah, I mean but that's what this sport is. Like there's always people coming, and whether you've made it or you're not, or you're trying to make it, like those opportunities are there.
Yeah, I'd like to see for sure of what I can do. So I'm excited, especially now working with Kyle and like honing in on those little things. Obviously, running still not my strong suit, and there's like a few things, but obviously there's always going to be something. But even if I can just raise the bar a little bit with those things, and hang is what I want to do.
So what's next for you? I mean, what's the next competition? what's the plan after this?
So I'm doing NorCal and whatever that's in 4 weeks or something, and then
Mhm.
if not there, then I'll do online. Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah.
And hopefully one of those I can punch my ticket, which I didn't even think
Was
that was a
that-
possibility until like literally recently. And I'm like, okay, wow, let's try to go after it. And it was more so this year. I was like, okay, we'll just see what I can do. But now I'm like, okay, it's in reach.
I'd say
That's
so
pretty
after
cool.
that. Yeah, I'd say so after that performance.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely. I want to bring this comment up. I heard this lady's just an influencer. When you
Mm-hmm.
hear stuff like that, what's your first reaction?
So actually, it's so funny that you bring this up because it was brought to my attention within the past few hours that John Young decided to say that himself, that I was just an influencer, and after the second day or something that I wouldn't stay there, that I would like drop on the leaderboard, and then I moved up on the leaderboard. So I'd love to hear what he has to say after that. But I'm glad he thinks I'm good at influencing, so that's such a compliment. But I'm also good at competing, so I can keep the hate coming. I'll thrive off of that.
Hell yeah.
That's the way to do it.
Yep. I mean, believe it, Brian, part of our show, the second half of the show, we're going through Brian's picks, and he's already gets a lot of hate for some of his picks, especially speaking of which, your sister from another Mister, Trista, competes this weekend. Brian has her at third at Copa Sur. If you're a Trista, what would you say to Brian for putting you third?
Well, I would, if I were her, I'd be like, keep underestimating me and I'll just show you. I think she's going to punch her ticket. We've been talking, so her and I are like, that'd be so sick if the Smith sisters made an appearance at the games together. So I'm hoping she punches her ticket this next weekend.
Yeah. Well, I hope Brian's wrong too, and I hope you punch your ticket. And I think the games can have a lot. I think the games could benefit having someone like you and Trista at the games and just bringing your vibe and you're influencing.
Yeah, influencing everyone,
Exactly, influencing everyone. Well, yeah, we won't keep you anymore. Obviously, it's you're probably taking the next couple of days off before back at work. But thanks for jumping on with us, Brian. Is there anything you wanted to ask or say?
Just congrats on a great weekend, and also it's really nice to get to talk to you and just hear some of the mindset, like the even the mid competition, mid workout, and then the reflection. It's like I said, maybe not a lot of people have a lot of exposure to you, but you've been exposed to this sport. Now you're putting yourself in some different environments, and it seems like you're also processing it really well. Like you have a really good head on your shoulders to evaluate and build on. So it makes me pretty excited and hopeful for the next steps.
Thank you so much. Me too. It's a constant learning and growing process, but that's all I look for in life is to continue to grow, and CrossFit allows me to do that in different ways. So better be on the lookout for what's to come. I'm excited.
Yeah. So are we, Sid. Thanks for coming on. Say hi to Britt and to Sia Green. Hey Britt. Is she?
We're always around.
Yeah, I know. But thanks for coming on. Enjoy everything, the fruits of your labor, and
Thank you.
We'll be looking forward to see what you do at NorCal. And
thanks
for jumping on.
Of course. See y'all.
All right. Bye.
Say bye.
Nice little surprise there. Not Dillingham though. It was not Dillingham.
No, it was not. It was so funny because I switched over to the competition corner to talk about Dillingham. Yeah, I didn't know. You're like, hey, and I'm like, what's going on? So,
I wasn't sure if you saw, because like usually if you see that, you just like finish up your thought and bring in the guest when.
Yeah.
But no, that was really nice to hear from her. And like I said, the perspective from the athlete, from the floor, that gives me a little bit of even renewed, like it supplements what I saw on the leaderboard,
Yeah. And I'm not trying to throw shade at John. John just doesn't know. and he needs to see more to develop his opinion on things.
No,
No,
no.
Keegan. No, we do not want your no, Keegan. Stand down. But no, it's just like, but like I said, you've dealt with it, and that's part of being an analyst in a sport. And when you put yourself out there, just like the athletes, he puts himself out there, and it's like, so we'll see. I imagine him and CJ will probably talk about it tonight, about recapping it. But but I'm glad that she's aware and having fun with it. So
let's talk about this guy real quick because
Dylan, let's talk about Mr. Hamming here.
Yeah, I mean, you might see the 8th Day CrossFit there. Like 8th Day CrossFit has had multiple top 10 runs at the games. Swiss Sam Demeester and Zoe Jones came out of the Pass, Michael Pass and Heather Pass. Great team athletes, and Dylan's been a part of that gym, a part of some of those teams, and he's, like Sydney, has cultivated some experience in significant environments on competition floors. And he showed up in this comp, and I definitely didn't have him third. And I specifically said, like, you got two of the best 4 guys at worst in the world in this comp, and you have Tudor, who's like pushing into the top 10. And if anyone's going to beat any of those 3 guys for a podium spot, like, they're going to have to earn it, and it's going to be an impressive weekend. So I know that Dylan was going into the finale with every intention of upsetting James and taking a game spot, and that certainly there's a level of, man, I was I was, even Sydney said it, she was 5th, but the points are right there. Like, what could have been? You got to be so proud and impressed with this guy. If you're a supporter of his, if you're him, whatever, like, anybody who's not named James Dallin Tudor and standing on this podium, that's a hell of an achievement. And the fact that James had to stand on the starting line going into the finale, no matter how good the workout looked from on paper, and sweat Dylan Hamming, like, that's pretty freaking cool to say.
Yeah, it definitely is. And knowing James and Dallin, they probably recognize that too. I'm sure James is probably one of the guys that gave him a hug. It's like, dude, thanks for the run, man. You're a tough guy. Keep working at it. That's just that type of people they are. And hopefully Dylan does. I mean, Dylan is one of those guys. You look at, there's certain athletes you look at, they're just a team guy. I didn't know Dylan was capable of this. And, you can rack it up to the programming. Would he have done this well in something else? Maybe, maybe not. We don't know. We don't have a large sample size of that. But we can now that maybe he's got some taste, just like Sydney, get a little bit of taste of it, see what's next, NorCal, whatever. But, he definitely earned that spot. He definitely earned some kudos. And, I'm excited to see what he does. He's not young in terms of like the age, but he's definitely someone to keep an eye on. Speaking of someone to keep an eye on, we're just getting all types of guests coming in.
Yeah, this is great. Yay!
Hey.
Hey.
Hey, how are you guys?
Doing great. Which airport are you at?
I'm in Phoenix right now.
Okay, so nice. Is Anton with you? There he is.
Yeah, and then
working.
Coach
The
is
good
back
luck
there
charm.
somewhere. Yes,
He's the
definitely.
good luck charm. Yes.
Hey, Anton. Can you help me make this screen? Because I'm trying to make the screen bigger. I don't know. If not, it's okay. I still look that good.
That's where she's.
It's fine.
That's it. That'll work.
Wait, go back. Where is it? Okay, it's fine.
Yeah.
How's it going?
It's going good. First off, congratulations.
Thanks. So relieved. So glad it's done. Took a little longer. I keep saying it's like an 11 event semifinal because that's basically what it felt like going back-to-back weeks.
Mm-hmm.
But
there were a handful of women that competed in Mayhem and also competed this weekend in California. Did you get a chance to talk to any of the other girls about that? Olivia, Emily, Kyra, Caitlin, any of them?
Yeah, I mean, that was the thing last weekend. Like, as soon as we finished and like we finished the final event, and then they put you in the little corral and whatever. We're like, all right, guys, what's the plan? What are we going next weekend? I know Emily right away was already like, oh yeah, like flights are booked, hotels booked, like we're going. Um, and then afterwards, the other girls were like, yeah, like we're doing it too, and like Olivia and all that. So it ended up being 5 of us that did it, including Caitlin. So
And actually,
yeah, it was interesting.
two of you took the game spots. I mean, it's like I looked at it as an analyst, like looking, and I would say, I'm gonna
Right.
put Lydia ahead of these two girls just because she didn't do that, you know? And obviously we saw how close
Yeah.
the margins were, but I just have to ask you, like, what was the experience like on the body? Because the athletes know, some of the people watching know, it's not just the physical output, it's the emotional toll, it's the travel, it's the mental doubt of yourself, belief, trying to find that. What's this last 10 days been like?
Yeah. That's the thing. I was really happy that it was 2 of us that did compete last weekend. Um, Not because I felt like, oh, we deserve it more or anything like that. It's just we're not as fresh, but we're in like desperation mode. Like we're already like, okay, like my mindset, I was like, I'm not doing this again. Like we're here, like I went to Tennessee, went home for a day, came home, or went to Cali and was like, okay, like I'll be back with a ticket. I won't come home until I have my ticket. But honestly, physically, mentally, like those between days, like that Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, I just didn't know how to feel because I was still kind of in competition mode, and I didn't know how to put it into words, like what I was feeling mentally. Because it was like physically, I was like, okay, like we're good. We're good. We can do this. And then mentally, it was kind of like, I I don't know what this is. This is a new experience. Like
That's
this is very
crazy.
strange. But honestly, when I started the competition, that day 1 at Legends was like, specifically the second event, I remember feeling like, did we make a mistake? Just the way I felt on that event. And the first event, but the first event was so weird that it was like, okay, maybe everybody felt that way. But then the second event with the sandbag, I was like, oh my gosh, like, did we make a mistake coming here? Because I don't feel good. I feel ill. Like I'm not okay right now. But then by the time Saturday came and I went to bed, or I went to bed Friday night, I woke up, had a good breakfast. I was like, okay, I feel much better than I did yesterday. And so I don't know what happened, but that first day was a little like, uh-oh, like, is this gonna go away? Is this like whatever's happening with my body? Like, but it went away. So then I felt better.
I mean, I was looking at the leaderboard, before this show and just like kind of processing everything, and it wasn't like there wasn't too much that necessarily stood out. Like you didn't win any workouts, you were never leading the competition, it was never guaranteed that you were going to make it. Now to hear
Yeah.
that you also had these kind of like body was reacting weird, physical thoughts. Is there a part of you that feels like all of that is kind of like good that it was like that, good that it wasn't easy? This like gives me a different thing that I can build on or lean into and remember later on.
Yes, this whole experience was so invaluable comparatively. Like last weekend and this weekend, I gained so much through, everything that happened last week, everything that happened this week, getting to do all sorts of weird workouts, and in a competitive environment back to back. Um, you just, it's like I got to get that, what you would do in 2 years in one, kind of, like, from a
Yeah.
competition experience. Um, and because the weekends were so different, like Mayhem was such a different experience than Legends, like from the way the competition was ran to the programming to the people I'm competing against, like just so different from one another. And so going into Legends, I was just very like zeroed in and focused on just claiming my spot, claiming my ticket, and I know it was never a guarantee, but I just had to rely on like good faith and just knowing like it's gonna work out, it's gonna work out, it's like it's gonna be okay, you know? And it went like that through the very last second.
When
Literally.
you finished that last workout, I mean, I'm sure you guys had processed the numbers, or at least Anton had, but like, did you know, or were you not sure?
Like,
The drama.
I know. It's like, oh, cliffhanger. Oh no.
What was that?
I don't know.
Still there?
Black square.
Yeah,
I
we're
can-
here.
oh, sorry. I was getting a phone call.
Oh.
So, like, yes, like, I knew, but at the same time, I just wasn't sure who won in the first heat and like what her time was. And so that was, I just kept looking at like Matt and Anton. I was like, what was the first heat time? Look at the broadcast. What was it? Just tell me. Just tell me what it was. And they're like, I think you got it. I'm like, no, just check. Just do it. And because I assumed whatever the time was, it wasn't gonna take any effect, but
You still want to know.
you never know. I want to know. Just tell me. So
And you know, was there then, like, by the time that that it was official, was it like surprising, or had you already known, or was there still just like this, like, okay, I can finally like take that breath?
like I think I kind of knew. Like I think we had worked it out, and I had asked some of the other girls, because I think like Kyra might have known what Grace's time was from the first heat, and it was later. So I was just like, okay, yeah, like I think we're good. And whenever they had corralled us and to send or to grab the people who need to go get tested, they said my name first. And so I was like, okay, are they like reading it like we already know like Olivia's going and she had to catch a flight, so she had to go quickly. And then they said my name first as if he was just like reading the list. And I was like, okay, like I'm pretty sure he just like read the leaderboard, you know? Like
Maybe it's
second, third, fourth, whatever.
Maybe it's alphabetical. You're towards the
My
top.
first
It could have been, but
My
he
first
did
name.
say Olivia. Like he was like, okay, Olivia, you need to catch a flight, come with me. And then he was like, okay, Abigail. I'm pretty sure he said Abigail, Lydia, Danielle. Like I feel like he said it in that order. And so I was like,
Yeah.
that's what the order was, you know?
That makes sense. Yeah. Look at you guys using your detective skills.
Yeah. And I was just like, I'm good.
Well, I gotta say,
I mean, you know what the numbers are, you know?
Yeah.
Like
If you
you're
just
pretty
look-
aware of it.
if you just look at the the results from the last 2 weekends, the names in the top 10 in Mayhem, the names in the top 10 in Legends, like it's a those are tough competitions, and you were like,
Yeah.
You're in the fight with people that are being talked about as possible games winners, podium finishers, and now it's also still the end of April. Like, I got to imagine you guys are going home feeling pretty excited for the next few months.
Yes, I'm so excited for the training this year. And that was another thing. I was like, I have to get my ticket because this is just going to totally screw up my training now. Like, I'm like, I don't want to go home and have to do a bunch of semifinal prep again for whatever weeks and then go compete at Syndicate or wherever. And so now it's like, okay, we got a plan. Like this week, I'm not doing anything. And then we can like build through May. And then it's June, July, hard games training. Here we
Yeah,
go.
because
Coming
last year you punched your ticket early too, so you almost have something to work off of, in terms of last year.
Yes. Yeah, do things definitely differently from last year.
Yes.
And I feel like I'm a lot smarter now. I feel like I know so much more about like how I operate as an athlete and like what makes me feel good. And from previous years, but also specifically this season, like going into these semifinals, I was like, okay, I think I finally am starting to get it. I think I'm finally starting to understand like what's when to push, when to pull back, when to push, when to pull back, and like finding that balance of like the perfect blend, basically. And just like communicating that like super aggressively with my coach and like being super in tune with each other. And yeah, and that's the thing, like these two competitions, they both were very good high level competitors there. And that's invaluable experience, you know?
Based on like the the last 9 months or whatever it's been since last year's games and the work that you guys have done, is there a workout that you look back at over these last 2 weeks that you feel like good about, proud about, based on like what you've been working on?
Yes. Definitely. Like, what all did we do? Looking at Mayhem, I was definitely pretty proud of how event 5 went, which was the one with the handstand obstacle.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
Even though once I finished, I was like, man, I probably could have gone a little faster. Like, whatever. I let Claudia sneak past me at the end, and I was like, oh, like, come on, don't do that. But I definitely think stuff like that has come a long way. And I would love to say, oh, definitely, even like the final at Mayhem, even though I put the dumbbells down and then let people pass me again. But it's like, it was one of those things where it's like, okay, I'm not going to get it, whatever, I'll put them down. But just kind of the way I approached that workout was so different than what I would have done last year. And honestly, even though it ended up being my worst finish and really, really bad in those last squats, that sandbag workout at Mayhem with the muscle ups, it was going so well, and I was really, really proud of the effort until the last squats, and then I started getting a whole bunch of no reps, and it just went really bad, and I lost a lot of points. But it's come a long way, and now we just need to put it all together, I would say. And then this past weekend, I don't know. I mean, everything kind of coming together. This last weekend was so like just desperation, you know? It was just so like, what do we got to do to qualify? What do we need to do? You know? And that's just kind of how the weekend went.
Did you feel that desperation from the other athletes? Like not even including the ones from Mayhem, but like just the other athletes there, because it is one of those things. Like I think you guys had the advantage, you know, especially for Mayhem coming like, okay, you know, we've already been through this feeling already. And now you had a whole new set of athletes now in your positions that you were a week ago. I mean, did you feel that tension back there?
From the athletes who hadn't competed last weekend, not a little bit, but not as strongly, I would say. Like, I didn't, I mean, maybe a little bit like with Lydia, I would say.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
But the rest of them, I feel like some of them, had an attitude of like, oh, I'll get in because I'm good. Like, it'll just work out. Or like, they were like, no, I'm just here to have fun. Or, oh, I'm doing another semifinal after this. Like, they were already kind of counting themselves out.
Mm-hmm.
Like, whatever happens. Which I just feel like you can't go in thinking like that, which is why I went into Mayhem with nothing booked for Legends. So I'm like, I don't want to be going in thinking, oh, okay, I'm just going to compete next weekend, like, whatever.
Mm-hmm. It's almost like it's almost like you're putting a little bit of doubt in there, and you don't need that, right?
Yeah, exactly. But no, I definitely felt a little bit more, I don't know, maybe it was just myself, but I could tell like Olivia was like really excited, especially just like with the programming and everything. I mean, she freaking crushed it. She like had like first in multiple events, second place, you know, like really, really good finishes to where she could go on to the final and just like, you know, but it ended up being so close. I don't know how that happened. Like, I don't know how the event organizers always do that, where it just magically becomes
a close race.
Yeah, like that just always happens. But
Well, if you ask certain people in I guess in our job field, you would say some of them do it on purpose to have it that way. But it seemed
definitely.
like, I mean, like I said, we're over in London now. A lot of stuff we're hearing from other like shows and other athletes we talk about. But it seemed like there was a lot of uncertainty going on, like even with events and standards and stuff like that. Was that, and like you said, coming from something like Mayhem, a different organizer, a different way of running things. Obviously that's added stress as well. I mean, did that was that like an unnecessary added stress at this particular competition for you?
I feel like I went in kind of expecting that,
Okay.
like going to Legends, like you kind of expected a little bit of that it was going to be chaotic, and it kind of was.
Mhm.
And sometimes it makes it lighter, like it makes the pressure and the nerves a little bit more relaxed because you're just like, it's just going to be chaotic. Like that's fine. It kind of helps. And even like something that happened before the final event was I realized I didn't have my grips. I left them in the hotel. And this was about like, this was at 2:32 and they corral us at 2:46. And so, and the hotel is like a drive away. And so I immediately am like, my grips are not here. I need my grips. And so I look at Matt, I'm like, tell Anton to get over here now. And he comes and I'm just like grabbing the keys and I'm just like, go. And he's like, go where? I'm like, get my grips. They're in the hotel room. They're on the floor. Like, just go, please. And he's like, okay. And then he like speeds so fast there. Like he ran some red lights. Like people are giving him the finger. Like, but I know he could handle it. I knew he could handle that pressure. And they got me my grips as we were walking on the floor. So, but I knew that moment was going to be a little bit of, it was like a good luck moment. Like when there's that chaos, it gave me, like I was nervous because I was like, oh, I don't have my grips. But I was like, this is good. This is going to be good,
Didn't you give like your extra grips to Emma at Mayhem?
I did. Her grip had like ripped in half on the intervals workout. And I just happened to bring an extra pair with me on the floor and we're right next to each other. And I was like, damn. I'm like, Emma, put them on. Just put them on. It's fine. But yeah, it was one of those moments where I'm like, I had to,
Oh yeah, but yeah, never do that.
But it gave me good karma.
That's what I'm saying. It's like, when you said that, it's like, you could have been like, yeah, it's like, it's paid it forward, but you should have been like, hey, Emma, I need my grips, instead of asking
hey, Emma, where are you?
Yeah, where are you?
Yeah,
hey, girl.
No. But no, I truly believe that helped me. I truly believed that helped me in the final event whenever Olivia just like started slowing down on the lunges.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just like, yep, here we go, get to the finish. So I'm like, keep passing it on, girl. I literally thanked her afterwards and she's like, what? She's like, what are you talking about? I'm like, no, thank you. I know. Yeah. But
well, I don't think we want to take any more of your time. You probably want to, just relax at the airport, but congratulations again, Abby. I mean, not the way you planned it, but I think that's what a lot of athletes are dealing with this year when it comes to the games.
It's so
consider
weird.
yourself like, consider. I'm not going to say luck because luck had nothing to do with it, but consider yourself like, one of the privileged ones to kind of get it done, and now can, like you said, get back to training and figuring, just kind of relaxing and getting prepared for the games. But you certainly deserve that. I mean, me and Brian were talking before you came on. We were talking about, how of all the athletes I felt that you looked the strongest and freshest coming out of Mayhem of all the athletes coming in. It's like, it just felt like you if you weren't going to punch your ticket at Mayhem, which you're really close to doing, obviously, you did it here. Brian thought otherwise, but not just kidding. I feel like you guys always do well when he doesn't pick you. So, just keep it up.
Yes. Brian. I try not to look until after. But that's the thing, I mean, this weekend it was very interesting. It was very interesting programming. The depth of field did not help a lot of people. Because that's the thing, when you only have 6 or 7 girls that like are on the upper than the rest of the field, you're not going to get help on certain events, and that affects a lot of things. I mean, you even saw that at Mayhem with there being only 20 athletes. Like, there's some events where it's like the next person finishes 90 seconds later, because
You didn't
there's
get help.
only 20 athletes. So you kind of gotta play the game and take all that stuff into account as well.
Yeah, that's the thing about the sport. It's not an individual sport. You do need help to do some of these things, to especially when those margins, especially now with the you've seen it, the playing field it's getting so. Brian's talked about like the women's, like last year's men's competition, the men's field was so compelling and very close. I feel like the women's field is going to be like that too, and you're going to need everyone's help, especially you're
it's getting
going to be
really
rooting
close.
for people. Yeah, you're going to be rooting for people you normally don't root for, or become friends with people you're not normally friends with, just so that way you can maybe help me out here. But no, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm glad to lucky charm. We found the problem. The problem was, and we talked about it at Mayhem. No more weddings.
It's no more allowed. But yeah,
No
that's the interesting thing, because it's like you can't show up at one of these events and get a bad finish, especially with only 5 events, 6 events. Like you're basically out at that point, like, because there's just not enough people to help you out. And like looking at, like, for example, last week, like with the grip thing with Emma, it's like, I know, like, if I'm gonna beat Emma, I want it to be fair and square. I don't want to beat her on that event because she didn't have the same playing field that we all had, and it's like looking at, or like this weekend, like somebody I was really impressed with was Sydney Smith. Like, she really impressed me on a lot of stuff, and I wasn't sure because I've never really seen her work out. I mean, I know her, but I don't know her in a workout setting, and I was like, okay, she helped me out too, for sure, on some of those events. And so,
the last one especially, she helped you out a lot. I mean, because Lydia finished, I think, a couple seconds behind her, maybe 1 second behind her, but
Lydia was like ahead of her, and then Sydney, it was close.
Yeah,
it was very close.
I don't know if we had Sydney on before you came on, so you might.
Oh, really?
If you think, you might want to, go back and watch that. You'll hear her mentality on that last event, especially when it came to the devil presses, because I think she was 5th or 6th off the box jumps, and so it's really cool.
Okay, I'll have to go back and watch.
Yeah.
But
Brian, you have anything else for Abby before we let her go?
Just that my preseason ranking of you is horrible.
I mean, keep it horrible. Keep it. That's fine.
No, it's been I didn't watch this weekend the way I obviously did at Mayhem, but it was awesome watching you in Mayhem. Been a while since I got to see you compete live, and no doubt about it, the games field is better when you're in it. Did you say it's fourth one now?
4th. Oh, for me, games? Yes. Yeah, 4th.
Yeah, I mean, that's no joke. It's hard to make it one time. You're doing it 4 times in a row. It's starting to stack up, and I am seeing. I'm like, I don't know what exactly you noticed at those workouts in Mayhem that you pinpointed, but for me, it shows that something's clicking. That even as good as you did last year, that you're taking the next steps forward to build upon that. And I'm getting I am getting very excited for the women's field this year in California.
Yeah, it's gonna be good. It's I feel like it's getting really close between a lot of the athletes, and it's very exciting to see. So,
including you. So that's awesome. Congrats, Abby.
Yeah.
Congrats,
Thank
Abby.
you.
Safe travels. Enjoy the little bit of time you have off, and tell Matt, tell the good luck charm, tell your horseshoe there I said hi, and we'll hopefully see you guys soon.
Yes, we'll see you guys soon. Thanks so much.
Take care.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That was cool.
Yeah. Sorry about that. I know this show went a little bit longer, but we'll just wrap it up here. We talked about Dylan. I'll get Tudor. I think Dylan obviously deserves his flower, just like Abby deserves her flowers. She did amazing, but Tudor, just based off the results, I know you said you didn't watch much of it. If you're Tudor, what do you take from this competition?
What I like about Tudor is that quite frankly, it was a bad start to the weekend. Like day one, 6th and 9th is not something that he's thinking about coming in there. I don't know necessarily what happened, but second, first, and third, that's the type of resiliency that I like to see. I mean, to be fair, Danielle did something similar. Like she didn't give up on herself after that first workout. And like I said, there are every competition is an opportunity. And I think that, I don't know what Tudor's peak is in this sport or even this year is, but the fact that he fought back, dug himself out of that, and rallied with some great finishes to the weekend is something that I think he can lean into as a positive, even though he didn't make the podium, he didn't get a game spot. And I feel like he can kind of hopefully ride some of that momentum into WFP this weekend and then build upon that into wherever he decides to go take another shot.
Yeah. And then I think you were close on this pick with Ilya. I think you either had him 4th or 5th.
I had him 4th. I had Dylan down. I guess Nikita Yundov didn't compete. I had him in the 5th spot. Correct. But I had Dylan probably like 6th with you, take him out 7th, something like that. But I had Ilya just behind those other guys. And he pretty much was, and he's an athlete that I think we're starting to see a lot of what John and I talked about in the preseason, that he's got the tools. He's starting to put them together. It's a very hard, if your singular goal is to make the CrossFit Games this year, it's a very hard season to do it. There's no competitions where anything's guaranteed. There's big names and tough battles at every single one of them. The programming is so varied. You hear from the athletes, like the variables are different everywhere. But he's competed, on a couple of big stages already this year, and he's clearly can hold his own out there. So I think we haven't seen even close to the best of him yet. And it might not be good enough to make the games this year, but that doesn't mean that it's not good enough to get onto big stages in the next couple of years at the very least.
A couple other people we'll mention before we jump into a quick preview here is you had EJ Hine. You kind of asked me, I think off the air, about what's this, EJ Hine. A lot of people have had him ranked pretty high. He finished 7th here. I know you had him in the bottom half of your top 20. I think he's kind of riding that momentum that he had from the Open and quarterfinals. Is this a guy worth listening to, worth keeping an eye on?
I would say yes. He's clearly improved in the last 12 months. Those were some good finishes in the online portion of the season. These workouts seem to be maybe a little bit more favorable in that regard. And I don't know what the totality of his fitness is, because I feel like through those two online competitions and this one, a similar thing has been tested several times in terms of time domains and movement patterns. But it's a really good set of time domains and movement patterns to be good at, to then build upon. So I think young guy with a lot of potential. John had this one right and I did not, and that's okay.
Yeah. Anyone else you want to kind of mention? We do have a Lucas Purdy, request here, from one of his Army Warrior Fitness Team teammates, who he's actually going to. He's a young guy with the team. I think this is a really good finish for him. I think you had him outside your 20, outside the 20. He finishes 13th here.
Keegan paid me $5 to not put him in the top 20.
That sounds about right. That sounds like one. I don't even know where Keegan would get $5. So,
Well, it was
but
an
if
IOU. It was an IOU.
oh, okay, that sounds about right. But this is Keegan. I mean, Lucas. Lucas is one of those guys new to the team, just kind of first year, kind of developing it, putting himself out there. I think in he's traveling to South Africa next to compete. So, what does that do for someone like him, where you compete at something like this type of competition with these factors, with these type of athletes, and then you turn around and you go to South Africa?
Well, there's I am always a fan of especially if you're an athlete that's doing this, lean into the positives. I don't see Luke. I don't know Lucas, but I wouldn't say that he's a guy who's has the same mentality that Abby does. He hasn't made the games 3 times in a row. He maybe hasn't done a semifinal before. I'm not even sure, but he's getting these opportunities now. So make the most of them. Go out there, take some risks, take some chances, see what works, see what doesn't. Don't stress it. Go to the next one, do the same thing. And, if he does 2, 3, whatever it is, different parts of the world, reevaluate and, build upon it. So I think that there's tons of athletes in this format that are getting opportunities. And, he's one of several dozen that will have a chance to compete on a cool stage, maybe multiple, and see where he's, just get a better pulse of where his fitness is actually at compared to the guys that he wants to compete with.
Yeah. As promised, we'll go through this pretty quick. Luckily, it's these are pretty small fields, but Brian put out his picks for both the Copa Sur and Far East Throwdown. His predictions for that. I know it's kind of early, but I think most of the programming is out for all these events as well. So we got Copa Sur happening down in Brazil this weekend. That'll be the first one up, and then on the other part of the globe, or other part of this other half of the Pacific, in my favorite place in the Far East, is the Far East Throwdown is in Busan in the Republic of Korea. So we'll go through the Copa Sur predictions, starting with the women's predictions. 2 spots up for grab. You have 2 North Americans going to South America and taking those the games spots away in Annika Greer and Miley Wade.
Yeah, I mean, I'll kind of just do a quick run through here, but of the athletes in this field, Annika is clearly the most accomplished one. Her results in the past 12 months, I think, speak for themselves and stand alone against the rest of the women, whether they're traveling down from North America or they're, perennial competitors in South America. If you look at the comment section, no surprise, but it is a recurring statement there that the South American fans are saying, it's different competing here. But we can think back to the sanctional years when there was, events down there and people traveled down from North America and did quite well. And on the women's side in particular, I think that I will say there's a chance that one of the 2 spots goes to a person from South America, but it would require an elevated version of any athlete on this list than we've seen previously. Annika, I think, and look, I said DB was the clear favorite in Del Mar, and she didn't make it. I think Annika's in the same position here. She's the favorite, whether that's a confidence booster or pressure on, and who knows, but I mean, I think she knows that. Miley and Trista competed head-to-head at Mode Classic. These are young, talented, fierce competitors. I think Miley Wade has a slight edge here. Watched live that competition over and over again as she just put the blinders on and dug deep, late in workouts. And, you heard Sydney talk about that ability to crescendo towards the end of a workout and do it repeatedly. Miley innately has that. She's getting stronger. She's extremely tough. And, as much as, I respect the way that the South American field on the women's side is getting deeper, I just haven't seen the performances to put them ahead of these 3 girls coming down from North America yet. Now,
Yeah.
right behind there, you have I put Alexia Williams. She's had a very up and down career. Like, she was surging. She had a bad injury right before Dubai. She wasn't able to compete that year. She was gone from the competition scene for a while, and she's been making the circuit down in South America and winning competitions again. So I think she's got a ton of potential if she's healthy and she gets off to a good start. And so I got her right ahead of, the two women that made it to the games last year. I still think that they're fierce competitors there. There's a lot of comment section about Carolyn Ferreira and Bruja Berbel that are surging. And I don't think that we're amongst the South American women, 4 through 10. I don't think anything's guaranteed. It's very much like the same region of the leaderboard in Oceania, where they compete against each other so frequently that it's kind of like every given weekend you can throw them in the blender bottle, shake them up, or the what am I thinking of, the bingo thing.
Yeah, the hopper.
Pull out a name. Yeah. So it should be a compelling battle. But I would say, like, all these girls on this list should go in there feeling like they have a chance, especially what we just saw in Del Mar, especially when you hear what the women we had on this show were talking about, is that, one bad workout and a lot of things changes. A really good start to the competition, a lot can change. So I think this is going to be a pretty fun field. I don't think there's any guarantees, but I would be surprised if Annika doesn't take one of the 2 spots.
Yeah, I mean, I think Annika's doing it right. I mean, she's already there now. We're seeing a lot of that. I mean, even in Asia, like a bunch of the Americans, they're already in Asia. They're in Korea right now. They're giving themselves that time to adjust. They're taking it seriously. Obviously, they want to be doing it. Annika did bring up a good point. It's like, hey, it's still in the same time zone. You're just in a different part of the country. So I don't think the travel will affect her or Miley or Trista as much. I think it'll be more of the fans. I'm not saying they're going to be anti-American, but they're going to be pro-Brazilian. And I mean, and we've seen that before, I mean, and I don't mean pro-Brazilian. Obviously, there's other people from South America competing, but the Brazilian contingency, they root for their own probably more than anyone else, as they should, I guess. But so I don't know if that's going to be different. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I do know how it will be at the Far East. They embrace foreigners. They want them there. They're amazed by that. I don't know if it's going to be that way in South America. I hope it is. So that way that encourages the women to keep on going there.
I think it's going to be a battle. I think there's a bit of a territorial thing. Like,
exactly. That's what I'm thinking. I don't think you get that in Korea. I think you do get it here in South America.
Now you can see it in the comment section, and I always think like the comment section is a small sample size of people, but in this case, there's a lot of people there that are like, these athletes think they're going to come down here and take these spots from us. Like, think again, we're not going down without a fight. So I expect these ladies to show up and battle, and Annika, Trista, and Miley have to be prepared for that.
I want to do one of these for maybe depending on what happens. Yeah.
Dude, there could be some good stuff coming out of that for sure.
This is Brazil.
Without the guns, obviously.
Thinking you're in America. You're a long way from home. This is Brazil.
Yeah. I just kept on thinking of that when I was putting these lists together. It was like, that was a meme that was popping up my head. I could definitely see someone putting, like Quintero's head on Vin Diesel, and Annika or whatever. But yeah, I mean, I've always been very interested in the South American field. I mean, Louisa has been someone that's been on my radar, as an athlete ever since she was a teen athlete. She was a team athlete. She trained over in Abu Dhabi, in Dubai, and I've seen her in competitions there. Her and Maria they're very similar athletes. Louisa has a little bit more strength. Maria has a little bit more gymnastics, but they have a lot of competition experience, and not just in South America, but worldwide. Both of them have a lot of competition. I think Maria is based out of Miami. She's been competing at the Wadapaloozas. And Luisa has been all around the world as well. So, but yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I really like this pick of Miley. We were talking about before. If Miley does punch her ticket to game, she obviously won't be the first teen athlete, but she's built differently compared to other teen athletes in terms of her toughness. And you've seen it firsthand. I've seen it firsthand. Have you seen that level of toughness and grittiness from a person, another teen athlete at the games?
Yes.
Who's that?
All the women.
Mal?
Haley Adams first, Mal O'Brien,
go.
Emma Clary. I mean, she's following in the footsteps of this caliber of athlete, yes.
Yeah, she's not going off pure athletic ability. That I think Mal
from the mindset perspective,
yeah,
she's in the similar DNA to that type of athlete.
The comparison to Emma Carey and Haley, especially since those are like, mayhem athletes. Emma Carey was trained by Dom. Dom is her coach here, and shout out to Barkley Dale, who helps out with Miley as well, and congratulations to Barkley for being engaged as well. But yeah,
let's just address this real quick and then move on to the men. First of all, what's up, my friend? And Annika she is foregoing WFP Tour Stop 1 to take her shot down in Copa Sur, but as a signed pro, and as the signed pros had last year, she can show up to the second tour stop and compete if she wants to. And she can, but she will not be guaranteed a spot at the finals. So she'll have to do extremely well at the second tour stop if she wants to get to the finals this year. But she's not dismissed from the season because of missing the first tour stop.
Yeah. Moving on to the men. Unlike the women, you're going very south. You're going South America heavy here. A familiar name at number 1, Kalian Souza. I mean, he's probably considered the outside of Guy. I mean, I think Guy would be considered the best, CrossFitter to ever come out of South America. But Kalian is definitely putting some numbers up there. Maybe not the placement, but he's the consistency.
Yeah, I would say at this point he's the second best athlete, male or female, that's come out of South America after Guy, and I think he's the favorite here. Enrique Morera he's sneaky, man. Especially in competitions like this, he's better than he often gets credit for. And it was actually kind of cool. I was talking with Jorge and Enrique, not at the same time, but I was talking to them both in Mayhem. And Jorge, I mean, Jeffrey's saying here, better than Jorge. I told Jorge that I was picking him third in this, and he goes, "I love it, bro. Me and Enrique, we battle it out all the time. He beats me, I beat him." Like, Jorge is a realist. Like he knows it's a fight. He knows it's a battle. He knows how good Enrique is. So Jeff, the answer is, I don't know, but I mentioned it with the women, and I'm, I echo it here with the men. Like I do think that there's some credence to what they're saying in the comment section, that the environment plays a factor. These details matter. The momentum matters. The energy in that crowd for a guy like Enrique Morera could be the difference against an athlete who is very similar to, on paper, in Jorge Fernandez. Now, Jorge, like some of the Brazilian women you mentioned, or South American women you mentioned, he's competed all over the place.
Yes.
So he is at this point, a veteran of travel, a veteran of competition, a veteran of circumstance. He's won the games on a team. He's competed in hostile environments, empty arenas. Like, he's kind of done a lot. So he's definitely not one to sleep on for the South Americans down there. But I also will say, Benjamin Gutierrez should also not be ignored. I think he will be in the battle here. I know there's some Josh Felix fans out there. Of course, there's some Agustin Riquelme fans. Keiki Cerveni is an interesting one because he barely competes, but we've seen what he's capable of a couple years ago. I mean, he beat Guy. I think he beat Callian that year too. Like,
he won.
So there's a little bit more depth here than you can, maybe at first notice, in terms of even the possibility to get those top 2 spots. If I was gambling, I wouldn't bet on anyone outside the top 4. but I could see a little bit. I don't feel confident that I'm gonna go 4 for 4 on these picks. Like I think something's gonna happen.
Okay. Let's talk about Josh Felix. Outside of Jorge, probably the lone one of the not lone, but one of the few outsiders. Outsiders going in there like this is Brazil. He's freaking the Rock going down to Brazil. But what Josh Felix, I think he's kind of like what we talked about EJ Hine. One of those young up and comers. What do you say about a young up and comer putting himself out here and going to a foreign land like this?
I love this decision for Josh. I mean, he totally busted onto my radar at the Mode Classic. It was very impressive, and it's not just the results. It's a composure. It was movement patterns. It was execution. It was pacing. So he's pretty savvy for what I would say is a relatively unexperienced competitor on big stages. So I don't think he'll be able to get into the top 2, but I do think he'll have a couple workouts where he's in the top 2. I also think that he and Jorge I think they're going to make some fans down there. I think that's, there'll be some people rooting against them for sure, but I think there's others that are going to really like these guys. These are very likable guys. And I just have to say, it has nothing to do with competition. Like Josh Felix has become one of my favorite subtle Instagram follows. Like he's putting up some clever, funny posts on a regular basis. He's also been, getting a chance to train a little bit with Alexis Raptis, and that's not a bad thing. So he's surely learning some stuff from her. So
is he a Kyle Ruth guy?
I'm not 100% on that, but he's also got some. He's getting more and more support. He's getting more and more experience. He's got a good DNA for foundation that you'd like to see an athlete build upon. And I don't mind at all that he's traveling to compete. I think you learn a lot by pairing those two things together when you get the chance as a young athlete.
Yeah. And if you don't follow Josh, he has some really cool stuff on his social media. Just a lot of inspirational stuff, a lot of funny stuff, a lot of just really cool stuff. Puts things in really cool perspective for an athlete so young and who's trying to make a career out of that. So that kind of puts that was Copa Sur. And then just before the show, we put out your Far East Throwdown predictions as well. We'll start with the men this time.
They get one spot.
One spot each, by the way. One spot, men and women. And just like South America and Copa Sur, you're having a lot of people. The thing is, it's not just from North America. It's from Europe as well, Australia, all coming in to try to get that one spot. Maybe not as deep as a field, and maybe not the names that you are familiar with, per se, in terms of games athletes. But that's a little bit different here on the men's side.
Yeah, there's 10 names. There's only 3 of them that would be in this field if it was geo-locked seating. But, I mean, look, Henrik Hepelainen is hands down the guy to beat here. This is a guy who was locked in top 20 in the world for years on end, got hurt at Rogue 2 seasons ago, 12 months later showed up and had his best ever finish there. He looks incredible. He's very experienced, very seasoned. There's a lot of weightlifting here. He's a great weightlifter. I think it's going to be hard for any of these guys to beat him. I like the order of the picks that I have here. Matt Brady, to me, I was telling you this the other day, Patrick, he's right up there in terms of the best I've ever seen at maximizing his potential. Like, this is a guy that I think is dialed on nutrition, dialed on sleep, dialed on training protocols, dialed on not getting injured, dialed on movement quality and efficiency of movement patterns. He's a big dude with a great head on his shoulders, and he understands, like, he thinks like Fikowski thinks. He understands.
Yeah, I was about to say, you just described Fikowski.
Yes. And it all adds up to this weekend. Like, now it's the chance to show that every decision that he's made every day, in and out, all year, has elevated him to the next level and given him a chance to do this. He's gone out over there early enough. I talked to him a little bit on Instagram when he arrived. He says he's in a great headspace. He's feeling good. If I'm Henrik Happalainen, you must take note of this guy, because if you make a mistake, he's going to be right there.
Okay.
There's a few other guys right behind there, like Max Krieg, super experienced competitor, has traveled a lot. He's resilient. He'll be in the battle. Sven Jeans, he's a little bit older than these guys, but he dukes it out with younger guys in Europe all the time. He passed on competition earlier this season, but he's over there now, and he's going to be mixing it up. Like I would say Sven has an outside chance to take this thing. Riley Martin's coming up from Oceania. I think he sees the writing on the wall there. The top guys are very good. I think he's had a better shot to take it first here than he does to take third down there. And again, this is, you don't see him compete outside of Oceania often. So I'm very curious to see how he stacks up in this field. You got a young guy in Andre Petku in sixth. Most people in North America will know Nicholas Bedone, also in Europe by now. Hiko Etenrengi Curtis from the Maori Islands out there, another guy from Oceania who's traveling up. And Kyung Sung Kang, I think, is the highest finisher amongst the returning athletes from Asia last year. And then our boy Chan Graman. I mean, to me, this is a very fun top 10. But if I'm looking at guys that I actually think can get to the games with one spot on the line, I mean, I know I have Max third, but I'd actually say Henrik, Matt, and Sven are the only three guys I think could take that spot. I think Max is more likely to be on the podium, but maybe not to win.
It's funny you said that, because Matt and Max are pretty familiar with each other, through the local regional circuit. And something you're showing me today is something Halpin did, was like the 1-loss record against each other. I'd be interested to see what that Matt Brady, Max Krieg 1-loss record against each other would be. Just those top three. These are.
I think you're gonna have to win a couple workouts here, and I think Max is he's very consistent. He's not an event winner.
Event winner, gotcha. Yeah, but in any case, those three guys. They're big guys. These are guys who are, and I think that's going to play really well to the programming. Programming does favor a lot of barbell and barbell cycling. And it'll be interesting to see. We'll move over. Here we go. Mac Krieg Dog from our boy Keegan. And then another one, Max up by 1,000. All right. Yeah.
600 points available. He's winning by 1,000.
Hell yeah. That's that army math. All right.
Yeah,
move on to the women's.
Keegan Alvis's IOU has just accrued interest up to 1,000 as well.
Yeah, he's good for it, though, man. He's good for it. On the women's side, I think there's really, it's not as deep as a field as it's been in the past. In the past, we had, we said a new champion of a crown on both the men's and women's side. In the past, on the men's side, it was we always had Morteza. We had, either a Russian or two that would win. On the women's side, it's always since they started the Far East Throwdown, Sung Young Choi or Sahara, and then last year, Choi won last year. This year, the whole podium, minus Anna Ivanova, and even fourth place Sahara Kaya. So we're looking at a new champion on both the men's and women's side, and we're missing some notable names on the women's side.
Yeah, but to me, there's one. Get this Max up by 1,000.
Okay, is it still up there?
I got it down now. Okay, yeah, but to me, you never want to assume anything. And obviously, we learned that lesson last week. But Syria Meha is clearly the one to beat here. She's such an experienced competitor. I don't think
experienced. She's just not experienced, but she's experienced at winning too.
Yes. They're not all the best competitions in the world, but she's won more competitions than almost anyone that's competing right now. And and like we talked about with Dallin, that is a character trait that cannot be ignored. She competes a lot. She competes everywhere. She's competed against a big, vast diversity of athletes. And if you watched the CrossFit Games last year and said, this is not a games athlete. That I don't know how she won the online semifinal. Just put that out of your mind.
Mm-hmm.
Just trust us that the circumstances that you were watching are not normal Syria Meha. Like,
yeah. And she
now,
admitted that. If you watch the Hiller video, but there's not much media on her. I think she's done an interview with us, and then she went on with, and she, and she did that thing with Hiller. That's it. You're not going to find anything, and that's purposeful because she's so focused. But yeah, she said she was less than 100%.
Sam Pugh, I've underrated her in the past. I don't think I'm underrating her here. I think she is a legitimate podium threat, and she's a very likely candidate to seize an opportunity if Syria trips up. Ariel Sanders, I know she's going to have a ton of people supporting her from here. She's one of the most likable people. If you haven't seen the interview that she did with Caden Mesa, it's like a slam dunk must watch, one of the best media pieces of the year, I would say, in terms of a podcast. But she's a serious athlete too. Like we said, there's a good amount of weightlifting here. We are favoring a lot of the bigger guys, and I think that she's going to put some event wins. Like she could put an event win or two down on paper, which keeps her in the mix. Dawan Young, she's qualified from here before. Can't count her out on home soil. Ashley Cope's traveling over. I do think that there's a bit of a drop off after 4 or 5 here. But it's I think it's just going to be a continuation of what we heard Abby talk about there. Like the margins are going to be small. The spots are very few. The athletes are, like that. I love that she talked about that desperation. Think about the number of athletes on these 2 lists that have traveled thousands of miles to do this. And if they're on this part of the list, they're not going there just for the experience.
Yeah.
The experience might be a bonus, but they have something else in mind, and it's only one man and one woman that can take it. So I expect small margins, big penalties for mistakes or glitches in execution. But I do think that Henrik Kapalainen and Syria Meha are the favorites. And like I said about all the guys over there in California, like if someone's going to take this spot from them, they have to do exactly that. You have to be fearless. You got to go for it. You got to take some risks. And then, bet on yourself, like Lydia Fish said, because you never know.
Yeah. Well said. Yeah. Sorry about the longer than usual. We didn't really plan on this to go 2 hours, but we had the opportunity of bringing both Sydney and Abigail on. Thanks so much for those two popping on. It's really cool seeing 2 opposite sides of the spectrum on that, one who's trying to get where Abby's at and one, it's just really cool. So if you didn't catch that, I think if anything, listening to those will be very beneficial. It was a good listen to. So I think that's the only show we got going this week. So I'm glad we were able to at least get it all in. Kate and Mesa will be on Thursday. I don't know if they have.
I will say this: if anyone's still around after 2 hours of this show, I will put picks out for WFP. I'm not going to do a show on it, and I will say it was one of the hardest fields to pick that I've had to do in a long time. 50 athletes on both sides, with 0 slate and a lot to fight for. Lots of countries, lots of different stages of career. So I hope that if you're a fan of fitness, that you get to enjoy 3 great competitions this upcoming weekend. Obviously, PC and I will be heavily invested in trying to put on a great show here in London for the WFP. But we know that the organizers in Copa Sur and Far East Throwdown, like we talked about at the start of the show, are in a long list of people who care immensely about this sport, about providing a great experience for athletes, spectators on site and around the world if they're doing their streams. And, as we've been saying all of last year and this year, if you love watching competitive fitness, it's a good time to be a fan because there's great competitions all over the world and a lot more weekends than there used to be. And for the most part, there's spaces to watch them. So good luck to all the athletes in Korea. Good luck to all the athletes down in Brazil. And if you guys are going to be in London at WFP, hit up PC. Just come say hi to us. It's going to be quite a spectacle. We're over there at the venue, so it's not too late.
What a venue. I mean, that venue was like, it used to be a former IKEA, and now it just holds concerts. And we ran into Annual on the way, and he's like, "Yeah, I used to go to a bunch of concerts there when I was younger." T-Bird did mention most important question that has nothing to do with any of this: will the athlete cards for WFP be available to purchase somewhere online? I hope so. I think we've gotten a lot of positive. I mean, they haven't been put out there yet. I mean, you've seen a little bit of, you've seen a little sneak preview, but I props to Chad Mueller. If those who know Chad's our the third person of our group. I mean, and Rodri as well. But Chad did a lot of work behind it. I'm glad we were making it happen. I think the athletes are really going to enjoy them. We have very limited amounts here in London. So if you are in London, I would highly suggest maybe heading to the WFP store and asking about those, because very limited stock. Hopefully we'll be able to get more. And I think, if they are very, very popular, I think it should be something that's sold online. But good catch on a T-Bird. If I can get my hand on my hands, I don't even have one. Brian doesn't even have one, so.
But if you bribe me, I might be able to get you
one. Jeffrey, Brian and PC will be at Xenon up to end of June. Excuse me if I've asked this before. I don't think you've asked me. You might have asked Brian. I wasn't planning on it because June is High Rocks World Championships. I think that's the third weekend in June. I don't know. I might consider it if Xenon wants to have me there. Maybe go as media or something like that. I haven't really thought about that. Brian, how about you? Any thoughts or plans?
I usually avoid weddings like the plague, but when they're happening at my house, I go to them. And so
that makes sense. Yeah,
I'll be at a wedding that week.
But we do have two of our friends, two people that help us out here on B.Friendly. I believe, is Scott competing in it?
I don't know if he's decided, but Clay is definitely.
Clay won the raffle there. I think he got he'll have an opportunity to win. I think $10,000. I think for the Masters division or whatever.
We will we will do another Fitness Under Fire episode on Xenom in a month or so.
Yeah, definitely. Unofficially, we are not sponsored by Xenom. But thanks for the question, Jeff. We're here in London. Come on out if you're here. If not, the main thing, like Brian said, there's three things going on. And by the way, we didn't even talk about this past weekend where we had Ethics, we had Legends, we had High Rocks, we had Lifetime Fitness Games. What else was there? There was like a bunch of things going on in the fitness world this past weekend, and it's a crazy time, but an enjoyable time if you love functional fitness and watching it. But with that being said, all three competitions this weekend, I believe, are free on YouTube. So just letting you know that. I don't think there's an English version for either Korea or Brazil, but doesn't mean you can't watch. Maybe they might have subtitles on or something on that of that sort. But all three will be free. And you can start your day with WFP if you're in the US. Catch and then catch South America, and then finish up with Korea. So fun weekend. But next week we'll get back to you. We both travel back next week. I think I fly on Tuesday or Wednesday. You fly on Tuesday. We'll try to do a recap show maybe on Monday or Tuesday while we're here on the weekend, and then and then another semifinal.
No, next weekend's a week off.
Oh yeah, it's an off week. Yeah, that's right. Good call. Yeah,
we'll get to that when we get to that. Thank you guys if you stuck with us. Thank you if you watched any part of the show. Mm-hmm. Awesome to hear from Sydney. Awesome to hear from Abby. Congrats to her and all the athletes that qualified. And enjoy your week and get ready for a killer weekend of fitness.
Yeah, stay safe out there. Especially from tornadoes. Seems like there's a lot of weather in the Midwest. So, thanks. Appreciate it. As always, be friendly.